Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 212, recording on Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And this week, we're going to get into our predictions for the Game Awards. Not predicting who's going to win, what games are going to be nominated for Game of the Year. And we'll get into the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta. We all tried that out, and maybe some impressions on Dragon Age Veilguard, which Sean and I have played. Is that about it? Did I cover everything there?
Those are the important things for sure.
So important. You might want to check us out on youtube.com/gamejunk. I have a pink eye that is absolutely disgusting. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yes. Now I see it. I didn't notice it before, but
scary and freakish.
I highly recommend going to youtube.com/gamejunk to check it out.
Like and subscribe, comment on what disease you think I have or what underlying condition is causing this. I need help diagnosing it. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into our Game Award, Game of the Year nomination predictions. That will likely be happening later this week or early next week. We may not have a show next week. Huck is gone. We'll see what happens. So we got to get our predictions in now. And we've decided this is not what we think should win Game of the Year. This is what we think will be nominated. So payola, industry darlings, biases, Zelda derangement syndrome will all be incorporated into these predictions.
You know it.
What people are saying is the most important factor.
And I'm feeling very confident in my top 5. I got a couple for 6, and I had to make a call. So I did mine alphabetically.
I think we all did, right?
Yeah.
So let's just go alphabetical. I think maybe you say your first one, Frank.
Okay.
And then if we have one before that, we'll jump in ahead or something, or right after.
So this is my 6th one. This would be the last one I would cut if there's only 5 nominees. But my number 1, which is 6, is Animal Well.
I also have Animal Well in this place.
Not on my list, but that's an interesting choice. I mean, there's sometimes an indie game in the Game of the Year nominees, not always, because they have a separate category. I'm sure it will be in there. I have a different indie game on my list of Game of the Year nominees.
I'll tell you the indie game I cut, which would be my 7th, Balatro.
Which is on my list.
Okay. I thought it might be.
Yeah. So I think, both of those are being talked about quite a bit. I just feel like I hear about Balatro way more.
The reason why I leaned towards Animal Well over Balatro, partially Metacritic. Balatro is very similar to previous games. I think it's interesting in the sense that it took a regular deck of cards and made it into this addictive roguelike, but there's many similar games. So it doesn't feel as unique to me, but I hope I'm wrong because I love Balatro. I would love to see Balatro and Animal Well nominated.
And I think Animal Well is going to be nominated just because of all the little secret stuff that journalists love to find and talk about, and it just seems like a perfect game to fit into a Game of the Year discussion by the people who would nominate it.
I think its Metacritic was like 91 at some point, so it's
high. I saw a list of games over 90. It only had games over 90, and it was on there, so it's up there somewhere.
Yep. Well, we'll see. I think we're gonna have a lot of other similar stuff here. Next up, alphabetically for all of us, we'll all have the same one next. Astrobot.
Correct.
Definitely going to be in there. Yep.
Now, do we think Astrobot is winning Game of the Year?
No.
Probably.
I don't.
Probably.
Ooh.
I think there's one other game that could beat it.
Okay. All right. Next up, alphabetically. And who wants to go?
Sean?
Next for me is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Whoa, hang on. Sorry. I have Balatro as well. I thought we were going Balatro. I was all confused.
Okay. Sorry,
but I have Balatro. So. Yeah, I have Balatro on mine.
Okay, so you had two indies. Yeah, Huck, you had 2 indies on your list.
Yeah, Yeah. And maybe a third depending on how it's qualified, I guess. But yeah, I have two indie studios. I think the same thing. There's like a lot of buzz about Balatro. A lot of people got addicted to it, and I think a lot of people would vote for this game to be in the Game of the Year running. Now, I personally don't think it has a chance of winning Game of the Year, but I also don't think it would be in my top, my personal top, 5 or 6. But I do think enough people enjoy this game enough to get it nominated at the bare minimum.
It's going to be close for sure.
Yeah.
Anyone have a game that starts with the letter C?
No.
Concord. In the upset, the ultimate victory.
A game that cannot be played anymore.
And wins Game of the Year.
If it gets nominated, that's definitely proof there's payola happening. So
I do not have Concord on my list. We all have the next letter the same.
Does Sony, hang on, does Sony even have any money left over after the Concord debacle to pay the payola? That's the question.
Oh, goodness. I can't believe they're dumping that game. There is a good game in there. They're out of their minds. I think we all have the letter F next.
I do not.
Okay, what do you got?
I have a letter H after this.
Huck does not have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is
I do not.
Absolutely guaranteed to get.
I took it off. I think that as much as it broke my heart, I don't know if it'll get nominated. Now, I haven't, played it through to completion, so I don't know how much, but it just seemed from the buzz around this game was nothing like Final Fantasy Remake. It seemed like when it was released, everyone was like, it's amazing, it's out, and then it just disappeared to me.
I disagree. I feel like everyone is saying it's so much better than the first one. And I do, but it also includes a retroactive appreciation for the first one. It's like an Oscar nominee for like not even a actor's best performance, rewarding past performance. So I would bet my life this gets nominated for.
You're preaching to the choir. You don't have to tell me it's like an Oscar-winning award or whatever, but I'm going on what I think will be nominated, and I don't think it'll be nominated. I would nominate it. I don't think the royal we will nominate it.
I'm with Frank. I think it's a lock. I do think the one reason maybe it doesn't make the list is because it's such a huge game. And again, I'm never clear on who all votes for this. I think it's like a mixture, like a mixture of people in the industry, critics, and there's like a slight audience voting thing. I don't know, but maybe because it's such a big game. But I think this is the only one that has a shot at beating Astrobot, personally.
Ooh.
I disagree with that.
So do I. And then at this point, we're at the letter F. We should all say we excluded Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, and I will lose my fucking mind if if DLC wins Game of the Year. I am going to snap.
I think it could happen. I don't have it on my list, but
it can't. You have to have beaten done 100 hours in the first game, even have access to this DLC. How could that even qualify?
I mean, you could kind of make the same argument about Rebirth. Like,
no. You can go buy Rebirth and start it at the beginning of a game.
You can, but you shouldn't.
You cannot nominate something for Game of the Year that requires a previous 100-hour investment. I'm sorry, it's not possible.
Okay. Well,
this is a bridge we cannot cross.
I just think because it's such a substantial DLC, that could be an argument for it to be nominated, but
it better not be. If they want to give it, what's the a game with an ongoing community or something like that, whatever. That's fine.
I can't wait for it to be nominated. It's going to be on there for sure. I bet.
I'm done with the Game Awards if it gets nominated. Next up, we all have the letter H.
Sure do.
Yeah. Helldivers 2.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I was making my list, I almost forgot about it. So I don't know if that's a bad sign. I know Frank's still playing it pretty regularly, but
my prediction is it will win Game of the Year.
I also think it has a chance to win.
Could happen. I just feel like it's the hype has cooled off a bit.
It should definitely win. It'll be close between it and Astrobot for Game of the Year. I think it'll be close for Best Design, but I think Helldivers 2 should win Best Design, and it's not even close. Like, no multiplayer horde shooter where you have to work with random people online has been as accessible, as consistently fun to play, updated constantly. It's and like constantly improving the game. It deserves Best Design. I think it deserves Best like ongoing service as a game. I think overall it deserves Game of the Year. It is the biggest surprise. It came out of nowhere. It's got everything I want in a Game of the Year. It feels truly unique.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll win too.
Next up, I have the letter L.
I also have the letter L.
Zelda Derangement Syndrome is real. And The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom
Is nominated.
A Decision with No Wisdom will be nominated for Game of the Year, which is an absolute travesty.
Uh-huh.
Cut it from my list at the last minute. So,
Ooh,
but I think
different
it's
L?
a very real possibility that it's in there because they always seem to throw a bone to Nintendo.
You cut it?
I did because I forgot Helldivers. So I was like, okay, that's got to be on there. But
okay. Well,
interesting.
Like I said, I pray to Jeff Keighley that I'm wrong. Please, Jeff. Don't.
It's definitely on there. There's no way it's not on there. People love Zelda games.
I've seen both sides of it. I've seen people loving it, saying it's deserves to be like up there for Game of the Year, but I've seen a lot of people that are just kind of like, it was okay, decent, not mind blowing.
Okay,
so
well, let's update that. It's bad. It is a bad game. Okay.
it's not.
My next letter is the letter M.
Oh, mine is M as well.
I have an L before the M.
Okay. What is it, John?
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Oh.
I believe this game will be there. They are always promoting the Like a Dragon series on the Game Awards. I feel like Keighley is
Payola is
a fan of this series. Now, I know it's not him personally, but I also feel like this series has been gaining traction more and more with each installment. This one got very good reviews. I think it's in there.
Well, is the pirate game supposed to come out early next year?
Next year.
It is, yeah.
I mean, having a lot of payola at the Game Awards, I think almost instantly gets it onto the promotion. There's probably a payola percentage in the old Game Award nomination process, I would imagine. So I could see this sneaking in.
Well, then are we on our last one, Huck? Both of us?
Yep.
Which is Metaphor Refantagio.
Yes, it is indeed.
And
I haven't played it.
I would almost guarantee this is nominated.
Yep. It probably has a chance to win because people love Persona, absolutely love it. So you take Persona and give it a different spin, still people are still going to see Persona. So I think it's going to be a lock to get nominated personally. And I think this is one of those games that is kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but a lot of people seem to be playing it. So I think this could even have a chance to upside Helldivers, potentially.
I mean, the easy pick for sure is Astrobot. Like, I would say it's the odds-on favorite for sure. But I hope it's Helldivers, and I think it's got a chance. Now, we should mention
Whoa,
you got another one, Sean?
I got another one. But also, I did want to say with the Metaphor Refantasio, I definitely considered it. Not on my list, but I just feel like it's coming out a little late. Like, sometimes coming out late helps because it's fresh in people's minds. I feel like this one, as Huck said, it's a little under the radar right now. It hasn't fully caught on. I don't think it's going to be there, but it definitely could be. The last pick that I had on my list was Silent Hill 2.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Star Wars for a second. I was going to...
No, that will not be
no chance Silent Hill 2 gets nominated.
I think it's got a good shot. I mean, it's critically... there has been a little bit of, I don't know if I would say backlash, but I just feel like it's not like 100% everyone loves it, but it's seems to be consistently up there in terms of best games of the year, people talking about it. So I think it could be.
I think Sean's list is way off. He really shit the bed on this one. We'll find out in a week or so. Definitely worth mentioning, at least on my list, 3 of the games exclusive to PlayStation. I know it's a big problem, according to IGN, that they're focused on AAA games and, just not looking out for indie stuff anymore, yet they're going to get nominated for most of the games of the year. Did anyone even come close to nominating a Microsoft game for Game of the Year?
Nope.
What are the
Hellblade 2.
Microsoft
Could
games?
Hellblade 2 be in there?
Hellblade is really the only one.
Hellblade 2 was on my list, but once I got to the bottom, I had to cut it.
I mean, it'll be there for like maybe some of the performance
Audio or something, maybe.
Yeah, but like I don't think for
I wish
Game
we
of the
could
Year.
flash back to 4 years ago when both consoles released and someone said it's already over. It's not even close which console is going to win the next console wars. And people that I'm looking at right now told me, no, you're wrong. And just remember, next time predictions are made, remember.
I still play my Xbox all the time. I'm in a huge Xbox phase right now.
I play my Xbox all the time. It's a way shorter wait at the library to get an Xbox game, let me tell you. Would I wait 50 copies for a PlayStation or would I wait 3 for an Xbox? Well, let me tell you, I'm waiting 3. So
the only Xbox game I play on PS5, and it's a piece of shit. Sea of Thieves.
What about?
What
about Indiana Jones? Do you think that would slip in? Is there a date deadline?
It's going to be horrible.
I know, but is there a date?
It is past the deadline, I believe.
Okay.
It is going to be so bad.
So, can I throw out a couple other games that maybe are in the conversation that we didn't mention?
If you got to, Sean.
Black Myth Wukong.
Considered it.
I mean, I haven't played it, but I feel like it's a possibility.
Yeah, its level design is not the best. Even though I've only done 1 chapter, I don't think it's got the goods, but it's still not bad.
Okay. Speaking of indie games, could UFO 50 be anywhere close to this list?
No.
I believe it will be nominated for Best Indie Game.
Probably.
But I don't think, Game of the Year, I doubt it. What about Plucky Squire?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about Plucky Squire. I don't think so. Not for Game of the Year. But
doesn't seem like it's...
It's probably art direction or something like that.
We haven't mentioned the one game that should be nominated.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
get disbanded. They literally make one of the best games ever, the best Metroid like in at least the last decade, and they get shut down. Does Ubisoft even know what's good about their company? They are out of their mind.
Yeah, that hurt me a little bit hearing that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be there. We briefly, before we started recording, mentioned Hades 2. It's early access. I don't think that, I think that disqualifies it, but I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, maybe it could get a mention somewhere in here.
I would also boycott the Game Awards if that gets nominated for Game of the Year. A lot of potential boycott here.
What about, are people playing Diablo 4 DLC? Do you think that has a chance to crack it?
No,
I don't think so. But
I don't know.
The last one I wanted to bring up just came out. We're going to talk about it. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Could that be?
No.
I mean, it certainly seems to be getting mixed reviews in terms of just gamers, but critically, it seems
clearly
pretty well
EA
received.
bias. Jedi Survivor didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, and it was the best game of that year, hands down. There's no chance anything from EA, unless everyone is like literally all they play. They come up with some game that reinvents gaming. They have no chance of ever winning anything, which is pathetic.
Now, here's the real question, though. What are the odds that ZDS wins hands down?
Absolutely zero chance.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't think it's winning Game of the Year. It didn't, Tears of the Kingdom didn't win last year. It did win some adventure or something. But yeah, if Tears of the Kingdom's not winning, I don't think Echoes of Wisdom's winning.
Okay, I think we've covered it all.
Yeah,
we have.
I'm excited to see what the nominations are and to milk this even further.
Just for the record, Sean was dying to do this. He like last minute he dropped this. He's like, "We gotta do this. You know what? I was against it. I'll be perfectly honest. I was like, no, Sean. It's basically just announcing the nominees." But I was wrong. This was golden podcasting. So this is a public on-air apology to Sean. This was a great idea.
All right. Apology accepted.
All right, let's get into our impressions of the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta, which I didn't even know about until Sean told me last night. So anyone want to go first, Huck?
I guess so. I just played it right before this call here, and I skipped every cutscene to make sure I would be able to get as much gameplay in. And I only had 20 minutes and I finished the demo. So that tells you about how much gameplay was in it. But overall, the like opening kind of like cinematic running with the sandworms type thing was pretty cool. Not much there. You're just kind of running around. I don't think there's any chance of getting hit or anything during that part. And then you go and you kind of go into this dungeon and fight this big tongue toad monster thing. And I found it took a while to beat. It took basically the whole demo, but it was pretty enjoyable. There's a lot of stuff to collect. And I had chosen to play with a heavy crossbow, which is like a slower, apparently more powerful ranged weapon. And the amount of ammo types you have already was like mind-boggling to me, and I have no idea how to get these ammo types, or is it from collecting all the stuff in the environment? I don't know. It wasn't very well explained from what I could tell. So my first impression was like, oh boy, is there a lot of menus and a lot of menu work to do in this game, and a lot of stuff to collect, and probably a lot of stuff to craft, a lot of stuff to buy, menus, items. Like, it's basically like a fancy, looter shooter, but you fight big monsters or something like that. So I don't know. I thought if you hit the enemy a bunch of times in the same spot, they develop like a weak spot. I thought that was pretty cool and a neat little idea to kind of, encourage trying to be accurate with your shooting or your hitting. So overall, I thought it was pretty good. Like, even that opening little like dungeon area made you kind of force you to move around. It wasn't just like one arena that you just fought the guy in and then it was over. So overall, I think I was turned off by the amount of item management seems like it's going to have, but the game itself seemed pretty polished, and I didn't notice any, glaring issues with the combat or anything like that. Just a lot of buttons to learn, and in 20 minutes, it's hard to really get a good feel of that. So I would say that would be my initial kind of impressions of it.
Yeah, we can add Monster Hunter to the list with Metal Gear, Zelda, Red Dead Redemption, and
Controls.
There's one other one of like, you basically have to relearn how to play video games.
Yeah.
They don't follow any conventions. No. You have to dedicate your life to learning how to play this game, which a lot of people do based on how many Monster Hunter games there are. And
like Square was like holster your weapon, and then like up on the D-pad was do something else that was not what I would expect it to be. And
that one made sense a lot. Like, that was Call Your Mount.
Okay. Call Your Mount.
Which, okay, that's Call Your Mount.
But it was also like do something else at the same time. It was weird.
I'm not sure, but I agree. I really liked. I had played some other Monster Hunter games very briefly, and I do not remember. This one has a hold the left trigger to target certain parts of the body, and I really like that within like a huge monster that's in front of you, and exploiting weaknesses and targeting wounds and like exposing them. I thought they added a lot of layers. I think I was most impressed with this game as like a next generation Monster Hunter. I think it fit the bill, even though I'm not a big fan of the series. So I did the opening demo part, and I really like the sling and two things with that on your mount. I can't remember what the mount is called. I knew it before too. It's like, begins with an S. Either way, while you're riding, like it automatically follows the path to your objective. Like you don't even have to drive it. So while it's like basically moving to where you need to go for your quest, you can override it if you want. You can use this sling to grab collectibles, and it was really kind of fun and effective way of collecting things while exploring the environment simultaneously. So I thought that was a great mechanic, and it added like as a next gen experience. When your creature was going somewhere, it would like climb up stuff. It wasn't like just walking along on flat ground. It would like move vertically in the environment, which felt really cinematic and polished. So I was super impressed by that system. And then after I fought the main creature, the combat is very slow. I picked a heavy sword, but I have to play this game for at least 5 hours to weigh in on the combat because it's just unlike any other game. And if you haven't played it before, it's very overwhelming and I don't know what's going on. But after that, I went into the open world and I went to fight this group of monsters. There's an alpha. It tells you how to target it. It says to fling poo balls at it. I don't know how to change my ammo. I can't find out how to do it anywhere. To change my sling ammo, I still don't know how to do it.
The ammo is tough. You got to hold L1 like and then press up and down or something like that. Or X,
I think X actually cycles through the ammo, which is like
that's what it is. You hold L1 and then triangle cycles one way and X cycles the other way.
But I thought that was for like cycling your potion to swap out of potions. There's two things. There's potions and like consumables, and then the next thing beside it was ammo for your sling.
Maybe it depends what button you hold down.
I don't know. I was like super, but I have to admit, when I get out into the open world, all of a sudden I was fighting these monsters. Then this other huge monster came in. There's always a bigger fish. Came in and like it was this crazy battle in this lightning storm. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just lost, but spectacle wise, it was super impressive. And the animations and interactivity of the different monsters was kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, I didn't do any of the open world stuff. I kind of just did the section that Huck mentioned up to where it says, thank you for playing. But I mean, it's interesting because playing it, there was a point where I was kind of like, this kind of feels like a Frank game. Like, I feel like Frank should be into this series. And I don't know, maybe this will be the game that brings you in, but
this one has crossplay. So I know Dax, he has literally played Monster Hunter World for the last year nonstop. I don't even want so he can guide me through this game. I'm going to force him to teach me the ways of Monster Hunter. And it's using the RE engine. I thought the character models look great. Like memorable characters. Yeah. The only thing I could see, I'm assuming there's more environment, but like the desert could get a little repetitive. It was like, but the map was kind of neat too. It takes some adjusting, but it's like 3D rendered. And you can rotate it in the map screen in an interesting way, almost like full Metroid Prime or Jedi series, Fallen Order and Survivor, that kind of map. So the problem with the map is there's like 500 icons on it, and I don't know what the fuck any of them are. And what is going on? Yeah. Like, can we ease the player into this experience? And I have a feeling this is basically how the game starts, no matter what. I don't think it's the demo version. I think this is playing the first part of the game. So
yeah, speaking of multiplayer, when you guys did the like SOS flare thing, did you notice anyone join your game?
I think it's just like bots that automatically happen. It's just
because I think
if you don't find people, it'll put in pawns basically. AI controlled people, and then if people join later, they'll replace those characters.
See, I didn't even notice anything like that.
Yeah, I didn't either. But I think, once you finish that first quest, I noticed it in the corner. It said like game mode switched to online or something. So I don't think it was actually online till that point, which is, obviously a huge part of these games. So I mean, I didn't really, and this is the first time I've played anything Monster Hunter. So I can't say I've got enough to fully judge it, but it was, a little more fun than I thought it would be. Certainly very cinematic. And I don't know if that's representative of the main game or if that's just that opening mission. But
If we were playing this 4-player, like it would be so much more fun than Sea of Thieves. It's not even fathomable.
Well, but there may be, I have a feeling there would be boss fights as long as the one we did in Sea of Thieves in this game. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of enjoying it. I don't know if it's a game I'll jump into or not, but yeah, I could see the potential. It is overwhelming. I think the thing that struck me, like there's tutorial things coming up, like teaching you stuff, but then at some point they mentioned something about now is the time to trap it if you want to trap it. And I couldn't figure out how to throw a trap. Did you guys do that or did you?
Hell no, I slaughtered that thing.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, I didn't even recall seeing that note.
Yeah, so I
mean,
don't know,
when I got to the open world, there are monsters everywhere, like small creatures. Like I don't know how you're going to manage what you're attacking without attacking other things. There's a lot going on. So I hope throwing poo balls is the solution that I couldn't figure out. Time will tell.
That sounds fun, throwing poo balls. I'm into that.
Yeah, I was like, this might be the best shooting mechanic of all time. What could be better than shooting poo balls? And it just
Jackpot.
didn't happen. Okay, any other thoughts on the Monster Hunter Wilds open beta?
No, that's
Nope,
it.
not for me.
Okay. Next up, Dragon Age Veilguard released on Thursday, October 31st. Sean and I have both played it a bit. I am currently 13 hours in. So that'll kind of tell you that I'm enjoying it. Sean, what did you think with your short time with Veilguard?
I'm really liking it. And it's, again, this is the first Dragon Age game I've played. I get the sense that it is very different from other Dragon Age games. And obviously, Huck hasn't played it. Huck's probably the one who really needs to weigh in on this.
Yeah, what? You haven't played a single other Dragon Age game?
No.
Really?
And
Okay.
I mean, I think for me, like, I like BioWare stuff, but like turn-based RPGs, very rarely do I really get into those. I'll try some of them here and there.
I can tell you haven't played any Dragon Age games because they're not turn-based RPGs to begin with.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought the first two were, but like
the real time that you can like freeze time with the wheel, just like kind of Mass Effect.
Yes.
And they lean a little heavier
Yeah,
into strategy.
right.
I think a lot of times when you would see footage from the first two Dragon Age games, it would like almost, you could switch to a top-down view and see how things were happening, where that was less.
The first one in particular.
Yeah. In Inquisition, and definitely not in this one. But
yeah. And so I guess also after having enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3 a fair bit, I was kind of like, okay, this seems like it's kind of in that style. But obviously this game is very much an action RPG, which I like. So it feels to me like the direction, Mass Effect went after the first game, they're kind of making that transition here. I'm cool with that. Like it definitely still has, like, I got into the different characters and their relationships right away. Like, I don't know, something about like when that first companion, like I can't remember what his name is, the dwarf guy pops in and they're like talking and, they have this history together. And there's something about that automatically gets me intrigued. Whereas like, I feel like so many games, it's just like every character is meeting each other for the first time, but having that sort of sense of they've been through a lot together was cool. And then,
I believe that this is supposed to take place right after Inquisition. And I believe that character, I recognized him from Inquisition, if I remember correctly. So that makes sense that
Garrus or something like that. Is that, sorry? Varric. That was it. Yeah. So, but, so you're definitely controlling all of the combat. Like your party members are doing their own thing and you're doing your own thing. And I was playing as a rogue, I believe. So I had like a bow so I could do some ranged combat.
Now I picked a rogue as well, but I'm pretty sure no matter which class you pick, you get a bow and arrow because there's or some equivalent to ranged combat, because there are things later in the game where you have to aim up in the air to hit something, and you'll need a way to do that, I think. So
okay.
I
so
don't
like magic. Magic users?
Yeah, but then there's also the warrior or equivalent that doesn't have any magic, or there was someone that doesn't. Oh, dwarves can't use magic, so I think maybe they can throw their axe. I don't know. My guess is the combat is pretty similar across all three classes, but I could be wrong. Um, but I agree with Sean. He made exactly the observation I was going to make. It feels like what Mass Effect became in Mass Effect 2, was more focused on aiming and shooting mechanics while maintaining an RPG and becoming more action focused. They're taking Dragon Age and moving it into more of a melee combat action game gameplay, which I'm sure probably rubs some fans of the series the wrong way, but I love it. Like, I think the combat, especially compared to, don't get me wrong, I really liked this simple but spectacular combat of Final Fantasy 16. This is like an actual combat system with some interesting stuff going on and parries, and it just adds enough to an RPG to, I don't know, kind of make it fun. And I actually really like the shooting the bow. I'm really digging it so far, although the enemy variety is getting a little repetitive for sure. Like 13 hours in, it's just these demons over and over again. But the reason I bought the game, I love the art style. I don't know what it is. I there's these kind of proportion, like off proportions and a slightly like cartoony aesthetic, but I love it. And I think the lighting is amazing. And the dialogue sequences, they're not like the most cinematic things, but they look really good. Maybe not as good as Baldur's Gate 3, but close.
Yeah, I like the visuals as well. Now, is this an Unreal game? I really got an Unreal sense from it. Like, there's like a shininess to all like the rocks and stuff that just
I would
guess
thought it would be Frostbite. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you would think that's what it is. Yeah, no, I see it here, Frostbite. Okay. I don't know, but it definitely had that look to me. And there were some slight like glitches in terms of like when it jumps into cutscenes and stuff, I would see characters kind of blink out here and there. I don't know if you noticed stuff like that, Frank.
Just
like
some hair movement stuff where it was a little jank, but
yeah,
not a lot. Like I don't think I've had any. Did I have one bug where I was falling perpetually? But that's it so far.
Yeah, I mean, like no major issues, but that would be my only kind of criticism of the look of it.
One thing I love, it feels like a BioWare game. Like, I haven't played a BioWare game in a long time, and it feels like a next gen BioWare game to me, and I'm just in the mood for that for whatever reason.
Yeah, and that's where I guess like I think some fans are a bit torn on it, and I get it. I just think it does still feel like there's, you know, choices and consequences to your choices, which I think is what most people look for in a BioWare game. It seems like that's still there.
It feels like exactly the same. Like, it's just like a modern aesthetic for it. And I love the menus and like some of the simplified armor systems. I don't know what the last Dragon Age did, but this basically has parts of Cat Quest's armor system where if you pick up the same thing, it upgrades it automatically. I love
interesting.
It.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't play as much as you, but I really am enjoying it too.
It's interesting to hear you guys talk about this because the vibe I get just from like the limited internet exposure I'm seeing of this is that people are not liking it, and it's like the hardcore Dragon Age people that are not liking it.
I can see that because it's more action based. Like,
yeah, and I think they are taking it from like the story perspective that they're not liking it as much. I don't know if it's the stories or just like how fleshed out they are or what, but
I don't think the story is all that great. I would not disagree there.
Okay.
I generally still haven't played many video game stories that I think are all that exceptional. So it feels like a slightly above average RPG story to me. And like all great video games story wise for me, it comes down to the characters. Final Fantasy VII, Last of Us, basically all Naughty Dog games. I don't remember the details of the story. I just remember the characters. And BioWare is really great at creating unique characters. And so far, I would say this game is not an exception.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've seen, the characters seem pretty strong. I don't know about dialogue specifically. The writing of that is okay, but I'm just from playing like an hour. I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens next. I want to see how these people kind of continue their journey, and I'm kind of in.
The music's really good too. I've been digging that.
Yeah,
But I'm loving, most of the missions are pretty linear. There's not a lot of exploration. Where in Baldur's Gate 3, even in that first area where the ship crashes, I was exploring for an hour before I did anything, and then I died and lost an hour of gameplay. And I'm like, it's just
yeah,
so overwhelming. I like a curated experience. So I think it's more my tastes align very well with Veilguard.
yeah. And I mean, I liked the exploration of Baldur's Gate 3, but it is also the overwhelming thing is kind of what ultimately why I didn't really go back to it. So I don't know. In terms of length, I know, Frank, you were saying that this is like a 15, 20-hour
Just
main
the main
quest.
story, but there's tons to do. Everything I think is 60 to 80 hours.
Yeah. So I think like in terms of, again, BioWare kind of previous games, it seems like it's in line. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what Huck has to say at some point.
I also got the vibe that people like it was divisive, this game. And then when I'm playing it, I'm like, this feels like a BioWare game. And I haven't played one of these in a long time that I've stuck with. And I predict I will stick with it, but you never know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm more interested now than I was before, but I also have so many other games I need to play that I don't know. I'll put it in line I'll put a order in at the library, but I don't really see any time to work towards playing this game. I mean, I must play Rebirth. I must. So
Yeah, I pretty much have to beat an RPG a week to be ready
yeah,
for
yeah.
the end of the year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got to be Veilguard this week. I got to be.
And you even mentioned Final Fantasy 16, which I was like really, really enjoying, and then left it for a bit of time. And I always think about wanting to go back to that game because I really like the setting and the characters in that game, and just the environments. And that's one of the games I have not gone back to either. And that's now so far down my list due to all the games I want to play before the end of the year that, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to fit in Veilguard, but.
This is making me want to go
see.
back to Inquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was Inquisition actiony like this at all or no?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
I think it was kind of like, I mean, that game came out like 15 years ago, so it's kind of hard to remember, but I think it was kind of more like those online MMO games where you press a button and then there's a cooldown. And it's not like actiony in that you are mashing buttons. It's more like press a button, it does a spell. You might have like some default attack that happens in between. And then you're kind of just picking your abilities once the cooldown ends, if I recall correctly. But that could be completely wrong because I haven't looked at that game in like 10 years. So hard to say for sure. That's what my memory is telling me.
Yeah, I like the combo system. It tells you on the wheel when you bring it up when a combo is available between certain characters in your party. It's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'm glad I picked it up. I really only picked it up because I got a 10% EA Play discount or whatever. I'm like, yeah, who cares? I bought tons of pieces of shit. I might as well buy this one too. And then it kind of hooked me.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you want to go back to Dragon's Dogma 2 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very similar. There's so many like huge RPGs this year that it's just, they're so similar. Don't know what to do. Okay. That's it for Veilguard. Huck, you got anything?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Sean, anything else for you?
I have two quick things. Kind of horror related games. One I tried Crow Country, which is a survival horror game that a lot of people have been talking about. Have you played it, Huck?
No, but it's on my list of things to try. I've been hearing a lot of good things about it as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I was liking it. I mean, there's so many of these PS1 era survival horror throwback games now, and this is one of them. But it does have its own kind of art style and feel to it. It's set in like an amusement park, which I guess Silent Hill 3, I think, was in an amusement park, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 4. No, I think it was 3. But but it's got puzzles, which I kind of like the puzzle element. I know everybody it's probably their least favorite part of these games, but I just found, I think for me, the shooting mechanic was a little weird. Like you bring up your gun and then to aim, you're using the left thumbstick, and the camera angle, it just made it hard to place your shots. And then enemies seem to take a lot more bullets than I thought they would. So, I mean, right off the bat, it felt a little bit more unforgiving in terms of the combat than I was expecting. But other than that, I was kind of enjoying the vibe of it. I'm not that far in it, so I don't know if it's something I'm going to go back to immediately. But I was liking what I saw, I guess.
Cool. Yeah, I probably should check this out at some point. Are you playing on Steam or?
Yeah.
Okay. I will mention briefly, I did buy The Lords of Shadow. Is it Hella Remastered or whatever it's called? Only
Shadows of the Damned, you mean, right?
What did I call it? Lords of Shadow?
Lords of Shadows. You called it that last week or whatever, too.
I do it every time. I did it before the show started, too. Shadow of the Damned. Hella Remastered, which I remember playing it when it came out and kind of liking it and always wanted to revisit it. I'm liking its weirdness and wackiness so far, but and I thought I was going to be in the mood to play an older game, because when I do that, I seem to stick with them. It's okay. It didn't grab me this time, though. I went from that to Veilguard, and then I haven't looked back.
Is it like a big upgrade, or is it just kind of
not major that I can tell?
Okay,
just kind of an HD thing.
So then the other horror game I played a little bit of is called My Friendly Neighborhood, which I don't even remember. I think I bought it last year where it was on sale at some point. Had heard some good things, but it's so the idea is you're like, I guess like a repairman. You're called to this TV studio where they shoot a children's show that's kind of Sesame Street-esque, and weird things are happening, and you kind of get pulled into sort of a mystery and these Muppet type characters that seemingly have gone a little cuckoo and are basically the enemies in this game. And it
feels like a mesh of Five Nights at Freddy's and Bug Snacks.
Yeah, definitely got vibes of both of those games. And I would say it's also maybe trying a little bit to be the next Hello Neighbor in terms of like a horror game that's kind of kid friendly to a degree. I was kind of enjoying it just because like I was actually kind of finding it funny because like when these Muppet characters start coming at you, sometimes they're like talking about like they'll just be like reciting the alphabet or like saying things that like Sesame Street type characters would be saying, but in a very menacing way. So that was kind of funny. And then like, the gun you're using, it's a first person shooter, basically, I guess. The gun you have is actually shooting letters of the alphabet at them. So, yeah, nothing like mind blowing, but kind of a cool idea. And, I was having some fun with it. But yeah, that's about it for me. I guess the other thing, Frank, I had to remind you to go on a Sea of Thieves rant.
Well, we did play a little last night, and we decided to do a tall tale for the first time. You had already done one that night. And these are like kind of story-based mission. You go to the quest board, which is already doesn't make sense to begin with. It's kind of a nightmare. And then you get this book, and you're reading it for clues. And these clues are so vague that I just can't believe a designer thinks it's enough for a player. Considering how long it takes to go from island to island and investigate islands, the clues are terrible. Like, it's not that hard to give subtle clues about a game or visual cues to at least not hit someone over the head, but have them figure something out embedded in an image. It was so bad. And then we got to this island. Finally, by using a guide, which I failed at actually reading the guide properly. Full admission of guilt there. We finally get to this boss, Captain Briggsy, and we're going for like must have been 40 minutes, like, and not doing any damage. We don't know what the hell we're doing wrong. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is the fucking worst game I've ever played in my life. Like, I had to go there. Who thought this was fun? And I was losing my mind. And then I look up online on Reddit. They're like, yeah, there's something wrong with the HP. If you have a 3-man ship, it takes people 2 hours to beat this boss and all this stuff. I'm like, what? This game's been out for almost fucking 10 years. How has no one fixed this yet? This game is an embarrassment. Like it has got some of the worst design ever. I cannot believe this is Rare's worked on this game. I don't know how many people work at Rare. They've been working on it for who knows how long, and it's still this fucking shitty to play. What is going on? There's some fun ideas in this game and beautiful water, but it is almost unplayable at times. How is this game so popular?
I mean, is it that popular? I
think
can't
it
tell. But I will say I was starting to warm up to the game. Like the quest we had done before you joined was a little more straightforward. And yeah, like there are definitely clunky design things, but I felt like we were starting to like at least just know what to do in different situations.
Yeah, a little bit. I agree.
But yeah, like I don't know, like if this is a glitch, it's pretty unforgivable. It's not fixed by now. If it's not a glitch, probably even more unforgivable. But like, the only thing I can think is that this is kind of like an MMO. I know like with MMOs, you kind of have raids, you fight these enemies that are giant bullet sponges and they take forever to kill. But like this was the second
quest.
Yes, yeah, second quest. It does not feel like that's the right place for that enemy. So
you'd think someone would have tested the second quest.
Yeah, or
thoroughly.
fixed it,
or fixed
5
it.
years later or whatever it is. Talk about embarrassing. Captain Briggsy literally took the wind out of our sails. We shut it down immediately.
yeah.
I'll just add, I did try Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Gotta say, no auto pop. You can import your save, but there is no auto pop. But
oh boy,
I had a save right before the last mission in New Game Plus on Ultra Hard, and I loaded it up today and beat it. So I got the 2 hardest trophies just by beating that part again. So I'm okay with going back and just platinuming the original game, just doing it all again, but I'm not doing it now.
So was that saved from the original version?
Yeah, I had just beaten it and saved it right before the last mission. So I imported that specific save and then did it and got quite a few trophies. Let's just put it that way. So there's some like auto pop hackage you can do, especially if you have a lot of old saves.
If you're a professional.
But I played pretty good. I didn't notice a huge visual difference. Like the game still looked good when I played it a few weeks ago. But it was I could play that. I could literally stop playing every other game and go back and play Zero Dawn right now. It's so good. I can't wait to go back to Forbidden West and just prove what a turd it is. It's going to be the best.
I mean, it seems like you might have a little bias there, but yeah,
it's not like unfounded bias. I've gone back and forth between both, and it's like I'm not alone. I've talked to many other game developers that agree with me 100%.
I must say, for some reason I had trouble getting into Forbidden West as well. I don't think I got very far. I will say, I want to go back. Another one I want to go back to.
Paul from Creative Bites chastised me via text with saying I was way off on Forbidden West. So I will revisit it, and I will not change my mind. I can almost guarantee it. But hey, eventually Breath of the Wild took as well. So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think like I remember it starting off kind of slow, but the last time I played it, which was I think after I beat Zero Dawn, I went and thought, okay, I'll continue on. And I was enjoying it. I was into it. But then something else took priority and I don't know where I left off. But I like that the remaster Zero Dawn lets you bring over saves at least. That I might buy it and do the Frozen Wilds. That might be something I'll consider. So
cool. All right, that's it for me.
That's it.
All right, that's going to do it. You can check us out visually at youtube.com/gamejunk. Our Discord links are there as well. And Sean is on X at FilmJunk. Andrew is My Angry Commute and Equilibrium Sis. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye.
And yeah, just the story.
I'm aware as well. I'm guessing no matter who you look past.
Oh, hang on. You have some major mic issues there, Frank.
Sounding very robotic.
Oh, it sounds okay on my end. What about now?
No, it's super like muffly electronic sounding.
Check.
Yep, better. Yeah,
Good.
perfect again.
Okay, when was it going out? When I said...
Just when you were, I first noticed it when you first were trying to say the guy's name, Varric or whatever. And the first time I just thought you mumbled or something, but then the second time it was like very robotic. But
I was like screaming, Varric, and like shut up. I told him 3 times. That would make sense.